Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my February 2019 horoscope report for you. Go to anniehelpsyou.com to check out my blog and all kinds of other goodies on my site, including enrollment for my astrology apprenticeship program if you'd love to learn astrology with me. Also, if you'd love to be a coach as your profession and bring your business online, my coach certification and online business training course is enrolling now. And I have launched my new publishing company, Luminous Life Publishing, Books and Beyond, and along with it, my new book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days. So you can see more about this prayer book that is for all denominations at anniehelpsyou.com. So February is one of my most favorite months of the whole year of 2019 for so many things, for launches. Also, we've got 3 times the sweetness, 3 times as many sweet aspects this month. It is an amazing time to do anything important until around February 18th when we start shifting into Mercury retrograde shadow period. So I've got lots and lots of details about my favorite days to do important things, plus a massive amount of details specifically for you and your sign. So let's look at those details now. Hello, Sagittarius friends. Okay, so let's check out the charts and look at more specifics about the astrological factors that will be affecting your February. So the first thing that we want to do is establish whether you are an early, middle, or late degree placement. Rather than go into the details, I have finally made a little guide here. So you can look if you're watching for your sun. You can see the dates here for your birthday to see if you're early, middle, or late. If you know your degree of your sun sign or you're watching for your moon or your rising, you can check out the degrees that correspond. Sorry, that's kind of a mess there. That's supposed to be a 10. And there's the degrees for late. Okay, so I will periodically bring this back in as we're talking, but it will be important for you to figure out where you are there so that you know if you're early, middle, or late as I differentiate. There will be certain things that will be the same, which I'll start with some of those. But as I drill down into the details, you'll want to know the difference there. Okay, so in general, when the planets, the personal planets, start getting into Aquarius, this is a beautiful time for Saggies. And plus, we already have other Saggy energy in the sky. But there's the reason why Aquarius energy is so nice for Saggies is because it's an air sign, and that blends beautifully with fire signs. So whether you're watching for your rising, your sun, or your moon, or whatever else you have in Sag, the planets moving into Aquarius have a beautiful effect on us. They can fan the flames of our creativity. Of course, I'm saying our because I'm a Sag as well. It can be very supportive, to everything that makes us how we are. So I just love that time. Now, as the planets start to move from Aquarius into Pisces towards the end of the month, that's going to be when this gets here later into the Pisces energies then. Now note that I am using this early degree chart to talk about some of the general implications, but what I'm talking about is true for all of us. Okay, so towards the end of the month as the sun and then later on Mercury gets into the energy of Pisces, that's a totally different type of energy. That doesn't flow as well with Sag energy naturally because it brings in kind of a lot of extra emotion that can sometimes interfere with our action and our idealism. So I always reframe that to be a time when it's really good for us to just slow down and get quiet and not be in some ways how we usually are, because if we can mold our natural sagging flowing energies to fit with the stars, then we can access different parts of ourselves that aren't as normal in our usual expression. So I love this time for, this is now towards the end of the month and then even getting into March, but just kind of a heads up that towards the end of February, those energies of going internal, being quiet, journaling, reading, writing, spending time on your own, things like that will be more in favor. Whereas the earlier parts of the month, those Aquarius energies really fuel the social interactions, chatting, brainstorming, all things intellectual. Okay, so this month I want to feature the discussion about two planets. One is Venus and one is Saturn. And of course, the two couldn't be more different. But I want to talk about where Venus is going to be for each early, middle, and late, and talk a little bit about Saturn, what it's doing, and what we're supposed to be learning, and how we can best use these energies. Okay, so let's first check out where in the chart Venus is, in case we can see for us, well, not us, I'm a late degree placement. For you, early degree people, you still have some time with Venus in the first house, and then it will spend the rest of the month in the second house. For the middle degree placements, you will have Venus here most of the month too. And it will move into the second house, maybe towards the end of the month. It depends on your exact placement. And for your late degree placements, Venus will be in the first house pretty much all month. Okay, so that's what we're working with. Now, to understand what a transit is like, or can be like, or what it can manifest, I'd like to break it down. Okay, so again, I'm going to be referring to this early degree chart, but this is going to be relevant for all of us. Okay, so when we're talking about all of these placements, you can look at this and want to run screaming and be like, what is all this stuff? So to make it easier, I always think about all of these placements as people. They have personalities, and when that personality comes into a certain sector of life, it brings that energy. It's kind of like a person coming to a party and what they're bringing. So Venus, I always liken to my Grandma Marge. Okay, my Grandma Marge, and I will explain why. So, there are many different aspects of each planet. One of the aspects of Venus has to do with, well, first let me just tell you about my Grandma Marge. Okay, so my Grandma Marge, she's one of my Italian relatives, and of course, well, she was smaller than I was at the time. I say of course, but this was just like what was normal in my family. Most of my Italian relatives were shorter than I was. And my grandmother would come with like these upstretched hands all the time. Even as a child, it always seemed like she was stretching her hands up to my face. And she would grab me by the face and give me a kiss on the mouth and say, I love you. Venus rules love. Okay, she would slip $5 into my pocket. Venus also rules money. She would come at me, as many of my Italian relatives have. That's a kind of not good looking, but it's a fork. Okay, and here's a meatball. So she'd stick a meatball in my mouth. So Venus also rules sustenance. Sustenance of every kind, emotional, physical. Okay, so we got the meatball. And then, of course, she would always tell us grandkids how beautiful you are. Venus also rules beauty. So this embodiment of my Grandma Marge, just imagine her in a sector of your life, okay? And so to describe this, I'm the queen of analogies. It always reminds me of the game Clue, okay? If you've never played this game, then look it up, but those of you in certain generations will know exactly what this game is about. So basically, it's like a mystery. And even though it's talking about something not very positive that occurs that they're trying to figure out, since everybody is okay in the end, I feel fine using this. Okay, so they figure out about this murder mystery. Okay, so they want to know who did it, where they did it, and with what. So when we're looking to see the energies that are manifesting, okay, let's get Grandma Marge out of here. Now you know what the energy of Venus is like. You can think about my little Italian grandma. So the planet is who? The sign is how. And the house is where. Okay. So Colonel Mustard did it with the candlestick in the conservatory. So now you can kind of understand what the houses are, what the signs, and what the planets, how that kind of shows us. So we know the person is Grandma Marge. The energy at the beginning is Sag. So it's very true to us, you know, open, flowing, fun, adventurous, busy. And then it quickly, very quickly, switches into Capricorn energy. Okay, so Venus in a more somber, serious, practical, getting down to business type of energy. So this is kind of getting organized, taking important steps. And listen, you couldn't have a better month to take important steps, because even though January was beautiful with wide open stars, it's pretty bunchy with challenging aspects and intensity from the eclipses. So February is actually my favorite month, one of my favorite months of the whole year of 2019 for taking important actions. So between the 1st and the 18th are my favorite times, and I will give you specific days in the general transit report that follows this Sag report. But, you know, doing important things with money and business is very, very indicated, very well indicated for this period of time. And then after February 18th, you can kind of start to take a rest more from all of the busyness of the last previous months. So for early, middle, and late degree placements, we've got Grandma Marge's blessings in the first house. Okay, so this has to do with your physical body. So any kind of enhancements, clothes, getting your hair done, taking pictures. This is a really epic time to take pictures if you need something for like branding for your work, or if you want to take family pictures, or just have any photos for any reason. A lot of times people will come through better in photos when Venus is in the first house. This can also have to do with monetizing your image, so like stepping in and branding yourself. This can have to do with just general harmony and peace and finding of resolutions for any physical health problems. So Jupiter may be bringing up or amplifying health issues to help you get solutions, but Venus brings a little boost here. For your early degree placements, and coming soon for the rest of you, Grandma Marge will be enhancing your house of money and value of yourself and just your values in general. Material items also could have to do with like living in sync with the earth. The second house can be that way. But in general, Venus is really enhancing this physical house sector. Okay, so now I want to transition to talking about Saturn, okay? And when we are talking about outer planet placements, there is usually quite a bit of difference between where they are in the early, middle, and late degree charts. So Saturn, for you early degree placements, is very clearly, and has been for the last year, pretty much, or so, depending on your placement, in the second house. You middle degree placements, especially the early to middle, you'll just recently now be starting to really have Saturn cooking in your second house. The rest of the middle degree placements, like the later ones, and then also the late degree placements, you have Saturn very clearly back here in the first house. And it will be there for a while longer, okay? So different lessons going on here, depending on your placement. All right, so now that we have that established, let's go back to just using, I'm going to use the early chart, but I'm going to refer to each of you as it is relevant, okay? So first I want to talk about what the range of energy is for Saturn, okay? And this is true for everybody, early, middle, and late, every sign, every person. We experience the planets with this range of potential, so from lowest to highest, okay? So the lower vibration of Saturn is like heavy. It's obstacles, difficulties, challenges, feels like you're walking through mud, you have concrete on your shoulders. In certain Saturn transits, more wrinkles or worry lines may pop up just from having your face contorted from being like, are you kidding me? And Sagittarius in general went through a very long period of time with this really up in our faces because Saturn crossed over all the Sag planets in recent years. And now we've had some freedom from that. But if you're a Sag that also has Capricorn placements, then you're kind of out of the frying pan into the fire. Okay, so there's heaviness, challenges, difficulties. The higher end of Saturn, and there always is a higher end accessible, and I hope you all hear me through this. Every once in a great while, I'll have someone say, when I'm talking about Saturn, you're a bummer, or how depressing. And if you know me at all, you know that I'm not a bummer. I'm anything but that. I focus on the positive. I am an optimist. I'm a Sag, right? That's how we are. But I want to help you understand the energies at play and the negative expressions of them, because they do tend to manifest in the negative when we're working with them unconsciously. But when you add the light of consciousness to the transit, then you can use what it wants from you, use your understanding of the lessons, and switch everything over to the higher end. Okay, so the higher end of Saturn is manifestation at its best. It is actually bringing things into form. Okay, manifestation, actualizing, accomplishment, recognition, all of that. I'm just going to abbreviate here: accomplishment, recognition. It's hard to write on here. Are all Saturnian positive things, growth, stability, opportunity, laying a foundation. Really, really helpful, wonderful, necessary energies. And you can really have any of that in a Saturn transit. But it does tend, if we're not obeying the rules of Saturn, it does tend to manifest in a negative light often if we're not aware. So what does Saturn want from you? What are the lessons? Saturn wants you to work hard. If you're being lazy in any area of your life, Saturn will make things hard for you until you say, oh, guess I need to work harder there. If you already are working hard, Saturn could want you to work smarter, be more efficient, be more streamlined and organized with your efforts. Saturn could want you to be consistent. And oh gosh, is that like a word that Sagittarius don't like, right? Unless you have strong earth placements or some other mitigating force, purely the energy of Sagittarius does not want to be consistent. It's random, right? We want to be free-flowing. We want to do things in our way when we want to do it. So consistency and being persistent and showing up with some sort of regular rhythm is part of what Saturn wants. It wants us to do that. But remember, this working hard aspect, really, the more we can convert that to working smart, the better. So that's what Saturn wants. Okay, so wherever you are feeling that energy of oppression in your life, and it will manifest in different areas of your life at the same time. Okay, that's what it wants. So specifically for the early and now middle degree placements, everything we just described is the story of your finances. So either you're having things show up in a big, awesome way, early and middle people, or you have more pressure than you've ever remembered and just the crap is hitting the fan and you're like, oh gosh, having restriction and scarcity and all of that. Saturn will test weak links. So if you have any weak links in your self-esteem, in your value of yourself, in your values in general, in your integrity as it relates to finances or in other places, Saturn will test that and could put pressure on your finances. So this is an amazing time to get in touch with your money story and changing your money story. And that's really what Saturn wants to do. Saturn wants to find all of those vows that you made, chakra vows, as Margaret Lynch calls them, and help you change and rewrite your money story. So early and middle, that's what's happening here. For those of you who have already done that work or who don't have weak links, you could just have a manifestation party of ultimate proportions where your finances are established from the hard work that you've done, all those things that we talk about Saturn wanting you to do, work hard, be consistent, building things over time. You could be receiving all of the benefits of that past work now. And if you're not, then there's more work to do, okay? So some of you middle, like the latter part of the middle and the later degree placements, you've had Saturn still moving in your first house. So all of those things we applied, pressure, challenges, obstacles, can be applying to your image, to like what it is that you're doing in the world, what it is you want to do in the world, how you're being seen, how you're presenting yourself, everywhere from your appearance to what your job is, to what your title is, to how you're doing it. So a lot of pressure being put on what you're doing in the world. And so you're having to get that redefined, rebranded. And also your physical body's under a massive amount of pressure. So finding the weak links in your physical body, in your routines. If you're not sleeping enough, you need to sleep more. It's one of the basic things of health that I hear so many people in the health worlds, focusing on healing and health, where if you ask them how much they sleep, they'll say, oh, I don't really sleep. And that is not ideal, because sleep is actually one of the best things that you can do for your first house, for your physical body, for being clear about your image of yourself. So prioritizing sleep and figuring out why you're not sleeping and getting you to sleep well and quality sleep could be something that you are needing to do here to get this health established. And it's a great time for diagnostics and kind of figuring out what's going on with you so that you can move forward with healing. So these are the things most on my mind for Sagittarius for this month, for this time, long and short-term themes going on here. Now let's look at those transits that are general, the ones with the beautiful dates that I want to share, launch dates, important, doing anything important, help you understand this month as it relates to the year, and everything else that I think is relevant for the general transits. So let's look at those charts now. So the theme of the month for February 2019 for all signs is 3 times the sweetness. And that is because literally we have 3 times as many sweet aspects as we do challenging ones. In the beginning of January, we started these really nice open skies with the stars, the planets moving direct. But January was a little bit dicey in the way that we had 2 powerful eclipses. And for some people, those brought amazing positive changes. For others, very stressful changes. And some people were just holding space for others as they went through the changes. And some positive changes still could have carried some stress because of just the newness of them. Trying to get into a new rhythm or having it come all of a sudden can carry its own kind of stress, even if it's a very positive thing. So February is going to have a totally different energy. The open stars of having all the planets be direct is going to continue through February 18th. So we've got all that going on. And then, like I mentioned, we actually have a massive amount of sweet aspects. We do have a second supermoon that is at its 1st degree. So this whole energy of clean slate is continuing. And that's just a very, major theme for all of 2019, actually, that's being initiated here at the beginning. I'm going to give you a list of the days that have sweet aspects and a list of the days that have challenging ones, and then we'll go into some more details. But definitely remember to go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and sign up for my free email newsletter to receive a written version of these general transits delivered into your inbox a month early so that you have them visually for planning purposes. Okay, and if you are already on my email list and you're not getting my emails, then definitely check spam, social, events folders, and move them into your inbox to get your inbox the message that you want them there. Okay, so the sweet days are going to be, let's just make a little list over here. And so the sweet days, these happy ones, are going to be the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, 4th, 7th, 9th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 22nd, 23rd, and 27th. Okay, the challenging ones, and as I give you these dates, remember that we often feel the energy of a transit before or after the actual transit, so don't hang your hat too heavily on the exact date. Just know that present and the days around these days are the transits. Okay, so the challenging ones, where we'll just kind of put a little guy having some difficulties there. Okay, so we have a challenging transit around the 1st, the 12th, the 14th, and the 22nd. And also in those days at the end of the month, there's, on March 1st, there is a challenging aspect, so you might feel some of that in the days at the end of the month. But in general, you can see a lot more sweetness there. And when you track this over time, you can really see a difference, like the mood of the month is very much directly affected by the amount of sweet aspects we have versus challenging ones. Okay, so let's just do a little summary of some of the major ones here, and then definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com to get a list of the rest and what you can experience with them. So on the 31st, I'm going to list the Saturn and Capricorn sextile Neptune and Pisces again. Okay, so let's see. Saturn there. Neptune there. Because as you can see, like here at the beginning of the month, they're only a degree apart. So that aspect, that beautiful 60-degree angle, it's one of the most favorable in astrology, is still going to be echoing out for many days, you know, even a couple of weeks, the first couple of weeks of February. You'll be feeling the sweet vibes from this sweet lineup. Whenever planets that are outer planets get together in any configuration, they last longer than the ones that move more quickly. Okay, so you'll be feeling those sweet vibes. And in general, this is characterized by material gains coming from spiritual focus and pursuits, or artistic focus and pursuits. So kind of like a blending of the sides of the brain, a blending of the seen and unseen. Okay, so the next thing around that time, and this is one you really got to watch out for. Mars in Aries square Pluto in Capricorn. Okay, so we got Mars in Aries there. Pluto and Cap here. You can see they're at 21 degrees right from the beginning there. So they're matching. And that's a square. That's like a, no, we don't like that one as much. Now, it is true that challenging aspects can definitely spark something important. And for the seeker, we don't have to look negatively upon these challenging aspects, because they could sometimes give us the catalyst that we need to do something, or it could be a conflict that sparks a breakthrough. But as far as like your general safety, definitely be careful around those days, because it's just the kind of energy that could actually be dangerous. You know, you don't want to antagonize a crazy person in the beginning of the month there. You want to be careful with your physical body. You want to guard your head, guard your bones. Okay, so now we start the sweetness spree. Venus and Uranus getting together on February 2nd. So we've got Venus here. We have Uranus here. Okay, so this is going to move into configuration with this. Venus rules love, beauty, money, self-esteem, design projects. Uranus is the great awakener, the great bringer of surprises. So in the days before and after the 2nd, sweet surprises are more likely. And of course, that's happening at the same time as that awkward, possibly dangerous aspect the day before. You know, that's why I always say we have to remember, like, these are layers of a truth that are happening all at once. And if you're trying to plan a launch or doing something important, your personal experience is going to outweigh any date something is, quote, supposed to be good. You know, you may feel the icky aspect earlier and then the nice one later. You know, you just got to tune in. But if you know what's going on, it helps you to follow these things. And I see it happen all the time, that people who are sensitive, people who are empathic, people who are paying attention will tend to feel like, wow, something's up in the stars, you know? And so you have your answers here as to what's going on. Another sweet aspect on the 3rd between Mercury and Jupiter. Where are the buddies? Okay, Mercury and Jupiter. I'm going to move into configuration there. So that is really great for anything important: communication, mobility, important connections, travel, could manifest in wonderful ways, having to make important purchases for devices or cars. I love this energy for that. Then we've got the new moon at 15 degrees of Aquarius on February 4th. So lots of sweet energy there. This new moon is also in a conjunction with Mercury and a beautiful aspect with Jupiter, which enhances it. Then the sun, on the 7th, the sun is in a beautiful aspect with Jupiter. So whenever anything is in a nice aspect with Jupiter, it's like benevolence, good luck, sweetness. So the sun will move there. And then, of course, these will be together as well. So that could bring important news, important connections. More sweetness and positive surprises on the 9th with Mercury and Uranus getting together. The 12th and 13th, this is one of those times to watch, because this is where Mars and Uranus get together in Aries. So both of those can be a little bit aggressive, can be a little bit jarring. Aries energy can be a little bit physically, you know, could be dangerous. So just watch your body. And Aries rules the head. So, you know, and again, just, you know, just don't antagonize crazy people. If you're driving, it's not the time to like make some sort of negative movement towards a driver that you don't like, you know, and also things like not texting when you're walking, you know, just paying extra attention in the days around the 12th and 13th, because tensions will be running higher. So I always say you can prepare for these kind of energies by trying to rest, get good sleep, be relaxed, so that when they come, you can kind of just navigate through them as a spiritual ninja. I always use the example with aspects like this, like if you're a grandparent and you have your grandkids coming to visit, you could either leave out all your white linens and all your white stuff, you know, only to have the kids destroy them, because that's just what kids do when they're playing, right? Or you can swap them out for the kid-friendly things and then have a rest-free time, so that when the chaos and madness comes, that all the things that you want to remain safe are, and you don't have to stress about them. So that's what I always think about when there's an aspect like this. Like if you know some stress is coming, and you just kind of like, you know, take your magnesium, take your B vitamins, you know, you just have your coherence plan situated, then it makes it much easier. Okay, so back to sunny skies and sweetness again with our little happy cloud there, with the 17th and 18th. We've got Venus in Capricorn making a beautiful aspect to Neptune in Pisces. And, okay, so let's show you where that is. Let me say there, Venus in Cap. Okay, so you can see here Venus is in Sag, but it is going to move into Capricorn by the 17th and 18th. And that's going to make a nice aspect with Neptune here. Dreamy, creative, spiritual breakthroughs, things like that. And then the Sun in Aquarius is going to come together with Uranus at this point in a beautiful way. Okay, so that's later in the month when this joins into a configuration with this. But again, the 17th, 18th, just sweetness. I love it for important things. Love, money, idealism, romance, art, creativity, expression of every kind, action, motivation, inspiration are just all enhanced beautifully at this time. And then the full moon, that second supermoon of the year. Supermoon is a moon that is actually closer to us. When you look at it, you're like, what? Why is the moon so big? It's because it's closer. And of course, it exerts more gravitational effects when it's closer. So it tends to be more intense, more emotional. So do prepare for an extra emotional full moon. But for the most part, there are sweet aspects with this full moon, with 0, almost 1 degrees of Virgo on the 19th. So lots of wonderful things coming to fulfillment, fruition. Could be some drama. Some people experience negative drama at the full moons, but there is a lot of sweetness at this particular full moon. Moving along to the 22nd, we've got a square. That's one of our challenging aspect days. We've got a square with Mercury and Jupiter. And where are you guys? Okay, so Mercury is going to come and Jupiter is going to be in a square. Of course, Mercury is not going to be here at this point. It's going to move over there, and that's where the square is going to happen. But, you know, communication, mobility, things like that, kind of getting a little pressure from Jupiter. Even when Jupiter has kind of like a challenging aspect, it tends to manifest in a softer way than the rest of the outer planets. So I usually list like just exhaustion for this one, like being overtired. And of course, if you're going because of all these sweet aspects and because you have this open window and because, you know, the Mercury retrograde shadow period is going to start on February 19th, which is true, then you could be tired because you're trying to fit a lot in. And really, it is important to note that I love, love, love this month up until about the 18th or 19th. So we'll just say February 1st through the 19th, or we'll even just say the beginning of January. But since we're in February, we'll talk about this through the 19th here. is some of my best favorite launch times in the whole year. You will have other opportunities, but in April, Jupiter is going to go retrograde, and it's always nice to have Jupiter direct when you do important things. And then, of course, we don't have as many retrograde issues as we did last year, but it really is good to take advantage of this time. I know that I'm planning to just run it really hard until around this point, and then just start to roll in the backdrop again. Okay, so another sweet aspect on the 23rd. Actually on the 22nd, there's one that could go either way. Venus gets together with Pluto. So Venus will make it over here to connect with Pluto. And that, Pluto's intensity, and Venus is love and money and self-esteem and things like that. So that could kind of go either way. Some intense news or an intense experience with love or money. Could be an ego battle, something like that. Another sweet aspect on the 23rd, another sweet aspect on the 27th, and then on March 1st, we've got that square with Venus and Uranus. It's going to come over. Of course, you can't see the square actually happening here now because Venus will have moved quite a bit, and that's when it will come into the square configuration, which is a challenge. So those days at the end of the month, there could be, love spats, money issues, things like that. But remember that when we're talking about aspects like with Venus, usually it blows over in a couple of days. So it's not always a big deal. It might feel kind of stressful at the time. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits. Really sweet month full of awesome possibilities, amazing for launches moving forward, some of the best stars of the year for doing important things. So definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. You can check out my blog. You can check out my astrology apprenticeship program if you love how I teach astrology and you'd like to learn for your own personal or professional purposes. If you'd love to be a coach as your profession and bring your business online, I can teach you how to do that. You can check out my coach certification and online business course, also at anniehelpsyou.com. Definitely check out my new publishing company, Luminous Life Books and Beyond, along with my new book, Radical Prayer. Transform your life and the world in 28 days with these magical, powerful, super effective prayers and affirmations. So you can see that at anniehelpsyou.com along with all kinds of other goodies. If you'd love written horoscopes by me, you can check out my website, cozybysweetstarlight.com. At cozybysweetstarlight.com, I write written horoscopes, often with different information than I share in the reports. And I always put those up a month early as well. And I've got all kinds of other lifestyle blogs written by me and other up-and-coming bloggers. If you are a traveler, you can check out my website, astrologykissedtravelbliss.com, for astrology travel reports monthly. If you are going to travel, you can see what the stars are like for traveling. And I also have other blogs on there. And definitely check out my husband's website, iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com. He's always got new and different things on there, so you can check out his tarot offerings, and he also does astrology readings as well. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye!